Hi, I'm Gone, and this is Why You Suck at Drifting, episode 2. So I know it's been a while since my last video, and that's because I've actually been doing a lot of comp stuff lately with CSG Season 2 and 3, and being busy with work, but I wanted to take the time to address something that I've noticed with a lot of newer drivers. Donuts. I see that a lot of newer drivers are trying to learn how to drift, are skipping the most important step in learning how to drift, and it all comes down to learning how to do donuts consistently. Now listen, I can hear that one dude in the back of the room scream, "Hey bro, I just bought my G25/G27/G29/G420/G69 with the GT Omega wheel stand for $300. And I learned how to drift by downloading CM, downloading WDTS, then downloading Brooklyn Park, and just jumping straight online. You don't need to practice donuts." To which I say, 1. You're dumb. 2. This is the exact reason why I don't go on public lobbies much anymore. 3. Sure, you can learn this way. You'll never actually progress as fast through the beginning stage of learning how to drift if you just practice donuts instead of jumping straight into a full track. 4. This is my video, and I can say what I want. I'm just trying to help. So what's the big deal? Why practice donuts? Well, for one, it's the absolute backbone to learning how to drift. Controlling a donut requires steady throttle control and learning how to make smooth steering inputs, especially if you want to learn how to control your car's attitude around a cone, from getting as close as you can to it, as well as learning how to consistently make a circle around it from a wide distance. The second thing is that it's faster to learn how to do donuts because you don't need to drive up to a specific corner of a track or keep readjusting your car after you spin out to go whichever way you want to go. With practicing donuts, you can just spin, then find your cone you're aiming for, and then try again. So step 1. Find a track that has an open area and a cone that is tall enough that you can see it over your hood. This works better than trying to find a small ring on the ground and trying to do donuts around it. Really, you just need an open area with something that you can drive around that is tall enough that you can watch what you're doing. For today's example, we're going to use C. Toretto's track New Haven, as it has 2 spots that work well for this demonstration, and you can find a link to it in the description of this video. Step 2. Line yourself up with the cone either on your left or your right. Whatever is easier for you to see the cone / focal point you're going to be driving around, and drive around it in circles. You can also choose to stay stationary for this, although it's harder and I don't generally recommend it unless you have some prior skill before doing this exercise. Step 2.5. Keep your eyes on the cone or object you're using as a cone while you're driving around it and while doing these next few steps. For a better explanation as to why you should watch my first video on why you suck at drifting, linked in the description and on the screen right now. Step 3. Power over or clutch kick. You want to break traction of the rear end of the car, and the best way to do that either involves putting your gas pedal to the floor while you've been driving around in circles to smoothly break traction, or clutch kicking, which abruptly breaks traction. To clutch kick, you want to quickly jab the clutch pedal while holding the gas pedal down to quickly raise your engine's RPMs, which once quickly released will cause the wheels to spin from the shock of quickly raising the speed at which they are spinning. Step 4. Countersteer. Once the rear end starts kicking out because your rear wheels are spinning, you need to countersteer, or else the car will just spin out and you will be very sad. Ask me how I know. Countersteering is mainly just steering opposite of the direction your car is going. This is the most fundamental basic concept that you need to learn to drift, and it's going to be the hardest to master, so I have a tip for you. Do not, and I mean do not, saw away at your steering wheel. What I mean by this is don't just move your wheel aggressively back and forth to control the slide of the car. Your steering inputs are more or less suggestions in drifting, and don't matter nearly as much as your throttle inputs, which brings me to my next step. Step 5. Throttle control and maintaining your drift. As I said earlier, you don't want to be sawing away at your wheel, because if you're aggressively making adjustments with your steering wheel, that means you're probably making mistakes with your throttle control. The most important thing to keep in mind is that you want a steady and smooth amount of power going to the rear wheels, as this will make your drift look smooth and feel smooth. If you're jabbing at the gas pedal aggressively like Japanese style street drifters, you're going to eventually fall out of the power band and spin into the opposite direction of your drift. If you're spinning out in the direction of your drift, that means you've run out of angle because you're giving too much throttle, or you aren't countersteering fast enough, or countersteering enough, period. To give you a troubleshooting guide, think of it like this. If you're just initiating your drift and you spin out, you probably didn't countersteer fast enough. If you spun out and your wheel isn't at lock yet, you probably weren't countersteering with enough angle. And if you spun out at full lock, you were giving too much throttle. Something I should say before I end this video is that there are two things you want to look out for. If you look back at the ground or watching your replay and see that you're making ovals instead of circles, that means you're making corrections that you don't need to be making. Your goal should be to be making perfect circles, as this means your throttle inputs and steering inputs are consistent, and that you're fully in control of your donuts. Another thing is that after a while, you should be able to feel the car settle into a drift, meaning that you should feel the car is stable and almost locked into a drift, requiring almost zero steering input getting into the settled state, and feeling the car almost drift in perfect circles for you. So anyway, that's it. After you learn how to do donuts, you can learn how to take a wide range of corners with confidence, and you can move on to the next step, being transitions. Oh, thanks for watching, and have a good one, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it may be, whatever it could possibly be.